Are you having a dolly day? I sure is. Welcome to Broken Dolly TV. I am your host, Gypsy. So what are we doing today? We're doing this. See my hair? No, we're not gonna do my hair. But this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this to our dolls. There were people who were asking questions in my comments of previous videos where I talk about certain dolls or they see certain dolls in my collection and they're wondering what happens when you take the doll's hair down from the ponytail or whatever intricate style it's in. Are you able to restyle this doll's hair? How difficult is it? What does the rooting look like? Is it sparse? Is it full? What's going on with this doll's hair? Now, when I do my reviews, I do generally do this. I take my doll's hair out of the style that it's in and try to show you guys what the root job looks like and how the scalp is looking, because sometimes they're very sparse depending on the hairstyle that the doll comes with. But sometimes it's just not enough, and then there's a bunch of dolls that I haven't actually done official reviews of. And some of my reviews obviously are very old because I've taken long breaks from my doll tubing. So to kind of give a refresher, I decided to pull out some of my dolls that came with updos and show you guys how easy or difficult it is to restyle those dolls' hair and what the level of rooting actually looks like for those dolls, and also to debunk this notion that doll hair by Mattel is not rooted upside down. I've been saying this for years. There are a number of dolls that they root directionally. The hair is rooted so that it will go like this instead of laying flat like this. So even when you take the hair down and you do all the manipulating to the doll's hair, it may not lay as flat as you would want for it to lay after doing all of that stuff, the whole process of straightening your doll's hair. I just wanted to pull out some of my dolls and show you guys what that might look like. We're going to be showcasing 6 dolls in this episode, but this is probably going to turn into an ongoing series. So if you know of a doll that I have that you're wondering about, leave it in the comments. You can ask me specifically to show you those dolls and I'll try to pull them out of my stash for you. Or even if it's a doll you're not sure that I have, you can go ahead and leave it in the comments if you're just wondering. If I ever purchase one of those dolls, then I will be sure to include them in an upcoming series. In the meantime, for this episode, I do want to give it a little bit of structure. I'm going to tell you each doll's name, like the name that I call her, so that it's easy for you guys to identify the doll. If you have further questions, you can just say, hey, can you tell me more about Rojas? Rather than being like, can you tell me more about that redhead doll in clip 2 minutes and 47 seconds? Like, I can't go back to the video to watch the part that you're talking about. So in order for me to respond to you in the comments faster, it's just easier if you use the doll's name. So I'll make sure to give you the doll's name. I'll tell you what the original doll was before I changed her out of her original state, because I do that a lot with my dolls. And also I will give you the head sculpt mold name if I know it, so that if you're interested in that face sculpt and not particularly that doll, you can go hunting for that doll if you're trying to track one down. So hopefully that information will help you guys. Let's jump over to the dolly station so we can get into it. Moving on, keeping strong. Don't you let it, what the hell? There's so many planes that fly above my house. What a struggle. I wonder if you guys can hear this. It's like a freaking, what is that? Sometimes I think it's thunder and then I realize it's an airplane. Okay, let's go airplane. Get on with it. Alright, so let's just jump into the first doll I want to cover. This beauteous beauty here, her name is Esperanza, and she is originally a Frida KAHLO Barbie with the NICHELLE head sculpt. When I received her, she had this beautiful braided updo. So I was so surprised at how long her actual hair was when I took down the hairstyle. It was not difficult to take her hair down. I was so nervous when I did because I was afraid she was going to be bald-headed because of just how thick the braids looked. And we're going to go ahead and explore her scalp right quick. And then I'll explain to you guys how I got her hair texture like this. So here's what the rooting is looking like in the middle of her head. To me, this just looks like a normal, regular amount of hair that they would have given to any doll that came with her hair already styled down. I don't have a bunch of bald spots in the hair. Now, I'll tell you guys a little trick. Sometimes when you guys part your doll's hair, you'll see how you can just see her scalp? Because her scalp obviously is the same color as her face and her hair is dark, it might not always blend well when you try to part the doll's hair to different sides. So what I like to do to blend it better for when I want to style my doll's hair in different parts is I'll take a tiny little paintbrush and use acrylic paint, and I will take a color that matches the color of the doll's hair, like this dark brown color that they use in this part of her head, and I'll just go into these empty spaces with the brown paint and dye it. Basically, I'll color it in, and that way when I need to part their hair, the front doesn't look crazy bald because you can see the doll's scalp so easily. So that's a little trick that I use. I hope that helps somebody if it's something that you're struggling with, trying to figure out how to blend your doll's hair better. You don't need to root in more hair, you just need to color in the scalp. Work with me. Okay, she does already have a part here that's rooted right into her head. Okay, this is where the hair meets, and it splits this way and that way. Initially, when I took the braids down from her hair, it was a very wavy texture, very pretty texture. I could have just left it like that, but I did want to see how flat I could get her hair, so I ended up straightening it. If my memory is correct, I got her hair straight by using a flat iron. And I do have a tutorial on how to straighten your doll's hair with a flat iron safely so you don't burn all their hair off, which I linked in this video if you want to go and watch my method. And that worked fine for me. And y'all, honestly, boiling water to straighten doll's hair, for me, I'm just too lazy, okay? Because I'm not about to do that for one doll's head. Like, I can't. I need to do a lot of doll's hair at the same time. When I do manipulate my doll's hair textures, I ain't about to do that for this one doll, you know? So for when I have to just style one doll at a time, I do usually just use a flat iron because that's a lot faster for me. But that's what I did, and her edges, I just drew those on. They didn't come like that. I don't know if you guys can tell, but in my opinion, I think this doll's hair here in the front row is rooted backwards so that the hair goes back, and that's the way that it wants to sit naturally on her head. So even though she does have a middle part, when I style her hair, I usually just brush the whole thing backwards away from her face, and that seems to suit her fine, and the hair lays pretty flat when I do it like that. Also, I could be wrong, but I don't recall trimming her hair. I think this is just where her hair naturally ends. So I just want to give you guys kind of like an idea of the level of manipulating I had to do to the doll's hair to get it like this. For this doll, I would say it was very minimal manipulation on my part. I'm really satisfied with the texture and how versatile her hair is. I can do pretty much any style I want with this doll's hair. And this hair is, I think this is just regular old saran hair. It doesn't have as much shine and gloss and smoothness. It's got a little bit of like coarseness to the texture, which is why I think it would braid very nicely if I tried that. Man, should I try it? I might try it because I love long braids on my dolls, and I don't remember the last time I braided a doll's hair this long. Maybe I'll try it just for the heck of it. Then if I take all the braids out, I might have to re-straighten it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, stop pressuring me, please. Come on. All right, so that's Esperanza. Moving on to our next doll, Luma. She is a Fashionistas 178 with a Kira, aka Nico head sculpt. And this one was tough, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. Okay? It was tough. Initially, she had a high ponytail, very cute doll, okay? But boy, when I tell you, her hair is a straight up struggle to get it like this, okay? And if you touch it too much, it's just gonna do whatever it wants to do. Now, in her case, the texture of her hair is not normal saran texture. This is, what do they call this stuff? Polypropylene or something? It's the same kind of hair that Barbie extra dolls come with. And oh my goodness, what a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand it. The only hair texture that I like on my Barbies are saran hair. The end. Everything else, like, you gonna have to convince me, honey boo boo. I need you to give me a reason, okay? I need a reason to like that hair. For example, it's already like braided up. It's in some kind of style that is very low maintenance, and I don't have to fuss with it too much. But this texture hair is so hard to work with for me. Maybe some of you guys have more technique than I do, which I'm very happy to hear about. Drop it in the comments. But this hair does not want to listen, okay? You can see in the hair, like, there's still grooves in the hair from when it was tied up that just don't want to come out. With her hair, I think what I did with her hair was boil wash it, and then I might have even gone so far as to flat iron it as well, because this polypropylene hair actually responds very well to heat. I think I might have done both. just so you guys know, all the dolls that I'm showcasing in this series, I did boil wash all of their hair, like freshly, like last night before I started filming this video. So they had a fresh boil wash in addition to whatever styling I originally did to the doll's hair to manipulate it out of the original style. She also has a middle part that just comes in the doll's head. Most definitely this doll's hair is rooted that way to go up. You can usually tell too when you turn the doll's head upside down, like in the back here. See how the hair is just going up? I don't know if y'all can tell, but it's not because I'm pulling it up. It's just already rooted that way to face upwards. That's why I say that it's rooted upside down. And so when you lay the doll's hair down, see how I'm not touching it, you guys. The hair is kind of floating back there. It never really truly sits flat on the doll's head in the back of the head, because they don't always directionally root in the middle, but definitely around the edges. That's a thing I see a lot. Stupid planes. Oh my gosh, that's the one thing I don't like about where I live. I live right by like some kind of Navy base or something. Goodness gracious, just planes all day for no reason. This hair is really hard-headed. So frustrating trying to style. It's slightly poofy all the time. And I just feel like she would be so cute with really, really flat hair. I don't even like bright colors on my doll's hair, y'all. Purple is my favorite color, and this particular shade of purple, the pastel kind of color, is so pretty on her that I want to enjoy it. And I just get so frustrated trying to style her hair to make it look, you know, just loose and like to have it down, which is one of my favorite ways to style my doll's hair. So dolls like this, I almost always end up putting a hat over her head to give it the appearance of being as flat as possible, something like that, or some kind of accessory to distract from the fact that her hair just wants to fly all over the place. Also, this kind of hair gets frizzy so easily. It's really frustrating to work with. If I wanted to just tie it into like a ponytail or like a half up kind of a hairstyle, then I think it will sit okay. But see, it just always wants to poof back up. So frustrating. So if you are struggling to style this doll's hair, it ain't you. It's the way that the hair texture is and the way that the hair rooting is. Also, if you're thinking about taking that ponytail down, then this is what you're gonna have to deal with once the ponytail comes out, okay? Let's take a look at the inside though. She does have a ton of hair, not gonna lie. A lot of hair. And this material that the hair is made out of, it's very thin. It's really thin strands. So it doesn't feel bulky and heavy. It's very lightweight. And what is all this crisscrossing going on here? Like, I swear something is going on with this hair, y'all. What are they doing? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this hair. I know I don't like this texture. That's what I know. The way it looks as far as the color is quite beautiful. I love this color so much. They did such a good job with the color. Everything else about it is garbage. But, oh Lord, lucky for you, Luma, I like you. So, okay, before another plane flies over, let's go over the next girl. Ofelia here. She is originally the Wedding Day Cinderella doll with the Lily James head sculpt. I believe this was the only doll that Mattel created with this face sculpt, so unless you specifically have this doll, you don't have the sculpt in your collection. But let's just go over her. I'm gonna say this doll is also one of my severely difficult to style hair. So she comes with a side part already, and she definitely has a ton of hair in her head. This doll, if you look at her pictures, originally came with a very intricate updo type of hairstyle because she's supposed to be all fancy schmancy for a wedding, which is very beautiful hairstyle. But I wanted to take the hair down to see what her hair was like. It is this nice smooth saran hair texture, and overall the texture is not the problem. The problem with this doll's hair is again with the directional rooting. Her hair is rooted so that it's constantly going upwards all the way around. And gosh, they put so much hair on this doll's head. I mean, it's very thick. What a freaking waste. I done boil washed this doll's hair so many times. And if you guys can't tell, there's always like a perpetual poof in the back of her head that drives me absolutely insane. Perhaps removing some of the hair strands from like the middle of her head would help for it to lay down flatter, because it's possible it's just rooted way too thickly. It just gets on my nerves because it won't lay flat. If you guys can tell, see how it looks very like sparse here at the top of her head? You can kind of see her scalp through her hair unless this front part is sitting on her hair a certain way. it's a lot more thinner, the rooting up here on the top, than it is in the back. So you kind of have to be picky about how you're gonna style her hair. I'm gonna put her in the category of dolls where if you like touch the hair even slightly, it will just fall out of place very quickly. This hair is like not very well behaved. I didn't cut her hair. This is the length that it was after I manipulated it. But I did boil wash this hair in order to try to tame it. I might have tried to flat iron it, but I can't say for sure. So I know for a fact I definitely put hot water on this doll's hair because it was so severe that I just have to pull all the tricks out in order to try to get her hair as flat as possible. And this is one of the dolls that I've had to run hair manipulation techniques on multiple times. So it wasn't just like one sitting and then I got it like this. No, over the time that I've had this doll, I've had to go back to restyling her hair 3 or 4 times in order to get it to this level of flatness, which to me is not flat at all. It's straight, but it ain't flat, you feel me? So this hair was a struggle. So because I had to take so many times to individually style this girl's hair, and it's still not as flat as I would like for it to be. I don't really like the way this hair sits on this doll's head. I would say this is a very high level of manipulation you will have to do if you want to take this doll's hair out of the original style that it comes in. She's another one that I probably would end up putting like hair accessories in or hats in order to disguise the fact that her hair just floats on her head like this. When I look at the face of the doll, she doesn't really come off like someone who would actually wear a hat all the time. I have to kind of decide if the hat is going to make her look or break the look, because she just don't look like a hat person to me, you know? A lot of the more casual styles that I go for my dolls, I don't really rock on this doll, which is why I don't display her that much, because to me, she just looks like very like posh, and I'm not gonna say she looks bougie, but she just looks like, you know, really classy, I guess is the word I'm looking for. She just don't look like she would walk around in like a hoodie and jeans. Usually that's how I dress my dolls. So for her, because this face just looks like she would be dressed in more posh kind of clothing, I don't find myself displaying this doll too often because the hairstyle doesn't always allow for me to get away with displaying her the way I envision her in my mind, how she would be looking. I don't know, I just want like her hair to be more sleek. That's just an issue I have to deal with in having this doll in my collection. Next, we're going to take a look at the MISTY COPELAND ballerina doll. And this was from the FIREBIRD series, I believe. And this doll, she is one that had a very high updo, and her hair looked like it was like a bun that was like folded over kind of. Her hair is actually very short, and I ended up naming her Velvet. So Velvet has like shoulder length hair. It's a straight texture. I think her hair had a little bit of gel or something in the front to make it very, very flat when I had originally taken it down. I can't remember for sure, so don't quote me on that. Also, she doesn't have a specific part in her hair. Her hair was supposed to be just going up straight back on her head. So that's the way that her hair is rooted. This doll absolutely, no doubt about it, has directionally rooted hair. Her hair is rooted upside down, and I think it's like this all the way through her head. Let's take a look at the actual rooting itself. And this is another one, y'all, that I done tried to straighten this doll's hair so many times. Every single time. See how it's kind of like tilting this way as it's coming out of the hole in the head? It just doesn't want to be flat. It just does not want to respect my authority. It irks me to no end. I do think that this hair length and the texture of the hair, see the little curl how it like flares out at the bottom. I didn't do that. Her hair just does that. For her, I think it suits her. I think she can get away with this hairstyle just because it looks like she did her hair like this on purpose. But see how in the front, when I try to like brush it down, it don't want to listen. Oh my gosh, this, y'all, I got OCD, okay? This type of stuff just makes my like skin just crawl and like my blood vessels burn. Like I just can't. I can't. I cannot deal with it. So I usually end up just putting her hair like to the side and trying to make it look like she ran her fingers through her head, and it's just kind of like, you know, messy and kind of just flying all over the place type of a look. Oh, so frustrating. You don't understand. Goodness to the gracious, okay? But also, I don't like for my doll's hair to always be in the style that they came in, unless I just happen to really like that hairstyle and it looks very, very nice on the doll, and I don't want to be bothered trying to restyle it that way. So that's like the exception that I'll make. But usually that's maybe like, I don't know how many dolls I have. I should count them. Let's say I have 100 dolls. That's like 3 dolls out of my entire 100 doll collection that I feel that way about. So it's very rare that you're gonna see my dolls with their original hairstyles unless it already comes like just loose. She was another one where I was like, I couldn't stand to look at that ponytail that much longer. I think I kept it in the ponytail for a while, and then finally I just was like, I gotta take it down. So this is what this hair looks like when you take it out of the ponytail. And yes, I did have to manipulate her hair for sure in order to get it at this level of flatness, if you want to call this flat. So far, every doll I've shown you guys, I did have to manipulate their hair to some degree in order for the hair to lay flat. I couldn't just like brush it into place is what I mean when I say manipulate. That's just a reality of dealing with dolls that have hair like this, that's rooted directionally. It's freaking frustrating. Now, in her case, thank goodness, she has saran hair and it's very smooth. It's a very nice texture. It's like very easy to work with. It doesn't tangle. So that's one of the positives about this hair that I can live with. And it is a really pretty color. And of course, Misty Copeland Barbie has the Misty Copeland head sculpt. So she is the only doll that has this face sculpt so far that we've seen that I know of. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me in the comments if you've seen another doll with this face sculpt. There's another Misty Copeland doll that has an open mouth, I think, and I can't stand that one. So I'm happy with this one. If I can only have one, I'm fine with this one. And speaking of head sculpts, y'all, I mean, goodness gracious, like some of these dolls, go look up the Frida KAHLO doll online right now and look how much she goes for on eBay. At the time of recording this, I see a listing for $700. I thought it was a prank. It's not. Who's paying $700 for this doll? The ones that are cheaper than that are like in the $100 to $300 range. What on earth? If you have multiples of this doll and it's just sitting in your stash someplace, like bruh, what is you doing with your life? You better go list it on eBay, because if you only list it for even $150, I bet you somebody snatch it up. What is going on? Y'all don't be paying $700 for no dolls, okay? That's exorbitant. I understand it going for like 100, even 200, because it's supposed to be Frida KAHLO, although this is not an exclusive face sculpt that they made just for this doll, so keep that in mind. But the styling of the doll, okay, I get it. But just because they didn't use a head sculpt that is for Frida's face specifically, I feel like if you get a hold of at least her outfit secondhand, I hope that's not as pricey as the doll itself, but let's just say, even if you spent like 30, 40, 50 bucks on just the outfit, I feel like you could make your own version of this doll with a different doll and just draw on a unibrow and you be alright. You feel me? I actually removed her unibrow after much deliberation. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do it or not. Honestly, the only doll I have with a deliberate unibrow is one of my characters, Julissa, who's supposed to be like a joke character. I don't even consider her a part of my actual collection. I don't know. I was just debating it and I was like, Frida, I feel you. I feel you on the statement you was trying to make and all of that. As an artiste, I get it, but no. So I ended up getting rid of the unibrow, because in my collection this doll is not Frida KAHLO, she's Esperanza, and Esperanza ain't got no unibrow. You understand what I'm saying? Just letting you know, guys, if you have certain dolls, like bruh, don't just be giving your dolls away. Honestly, you might not like the doll, but go and see what people are buying and selling these dolls for before you make a decision on how much you're gonna charge when you decide to downsize your collection, in or out of box. I'm telling you, a lot of dolls, you'd be surprised how much people will pay for dolls that are out of the box, new, don't even got all their original body parts or anything, just the head. You'd be shocked, all right? Don't underestimate your doll collection's worth just because people like to tell you that you're devaluing them when you take them out of the box. That is not true. All right, enough ranting. Okay, we're gonna move on to Miss Greta here. And Greta is originally Claire from the Jurassic World series, and she is the Bryce Howard head sculpt. Yes, this is another doll that had a unique head sculpt made just for the actress. I don't think she looked nothing like her, to be honest. I think Bryce Howard is a lot prettier than this doll, to be honest, but I didn't get her because I like Bryce's face. I got her because I wanted like a plain Jane, in my collection. And also, I'm a stickler for redheads, y'all, and she had red hair, and I don't like any old red-haired Barbie, but I am actively collecting dolls that have red hair, so that was a factor. This one is another one that get on my damn nerves. Just why, Mattel? Why? Okay, listen. Absolutely, this doll's hair is rooted so that it can go into a ponytail on her head. It's like a semi-high ponytail, like mid-range in the height of the ponytail. It's not way at the top of her head, but it's up there. And also, it came with some length, which I was hoping was gonna save the look once I took it down out of the ponytail. And she does come with bangs, so that a little bit limits how I can style her hair as well because of the bangs. I can't like pull all the hair back. Now, the problem for me is not so much that her hair is directionally rooted, but how sparsely it's rooted at the top of her head. As she's spinning here, you can kind of tell, you can see through her hair to her scalp. Like, you can see how the rooting is a little bit, you know, a little weak, right? So this doll doesn't have a part specifically in her hair. When I brush the hair, you can kind of see those layers inside where the rooting is. It's almost at the middle of her head is where it starts to get thicker. And this first 3 or 4 layers up at the top are very, like, a lot of space in between. Like, if this was a weave, I'm trying to say, girl, I can see your tracks, okay? You need to do better. What's going on? We need to investigate further. Let's peel the curtains back so we can take a look. In my opinion, it isn't even so much the spacing between the hair, but the actual amount, the quantity of hair that they put into each hole. Towards the front of the head, there's less than they put into the back. And so it's thicker down here than it is up at the top. It also doesn't help that her scalp is not properly shaded to match her hair color. I think if they had painted that portion of her head with more closer color to this, it would blend better. I think they needed to make it a little bit more orange. It looks like they tried to paint it with some kind of a tint, but it's just a little bit too light. And it don't work. It don't work, ma'am. You're looking a little bald-headed. You feel me? So I don't know about this one, y'all. This is, again, one of those dolls that I have her, but she's just stashed away. I didn't really purchase this as a display doll, to be honest. I know it's going to sound horrible for me to say that. She ain't pretty enough for me to keep out all the time, to be looking at her face, because her face just looked like, I don't know. She's not my type is what I'm trying to say. Oh my God. So sorry to anybody who looks like this doll. I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying she's not my type. You feel me? This like little groove in her hair right here, this little dent, like I just can't get that out for the life of me. I know for sure I never put a heat tool in this doll's hair. I only boil washed it. I don't know. Maybe if I put some heat on it directly, I could smooth that part out and that could help her look overall. Like this side looks okay, but what's going on over her? And something about these bangs, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the bangs just don't look good on her. Like, what would you look like if we could see her whole forehead? Truthfully, I feel like she would look better without the bangs. I don't know. Bangs don't look right on every single face. But just something about this hair, like to me, it just feels like a bad wig, right? So I ain't with it. I feel like I would probably use this doll more like as a background character in some kind of skit series or something like that. Why is my battery just like being eaten to death right now? I don't know. Anyway, that's just the vibe that I get for Greta. It's unfortunate. This is one of those dolls, like I want to like her so bad. I want to like her so bad. But I'm starting to think as I'm going through my dolls trying to make these videos for you guys, I think I need to direly downsize my collection because I'm noticing I have a lot of dolls that I just have no bond with. I don't feel no connection with them. I can't even remember why I added the doll to my collection. Like, what was it? Was it the clothes? Why did I want this doll? I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about Greta. I'm just saying there's a bunch of dolls in my collection that are like that, or I have like so many of that particular head sculpt in similar skin tones that I'm like, why? Like, why do I need 7 versions of this doll? I don't. That's just not the way I like to collect. So I'm just starting to reevaluate my collection as I'm doing this. I think I'm gonna just go through my stash and look for dolls that I need to sell, get rid of, because someone else can definitely get their use out of these dolls. And I think for a lot of them also, they're potential body donors that just happen to have a head still attached. Maybe I'll just end up selling the heads of some of my dolls. Greta, I want to love you, but you're just so hard to love. you know? I don't know what it is. Oh gosh, it be like that sometimes. So for this doll, I would say to get it like this, it was like moderate level of manipulation that needed to be done, because she's another one that I had to do the boil wash process on multiple times to get it to this level of so-called flatness. It's a disgrace, okay? So I hope this video helped. That's all I gotta show you for this particular episode. In our next episode, we're gonna take a look at these ladies. Before we bounce, I just want to remind you guys that it is not impossible to restyle your doll's hair when you take them down from these high ponytails and intricate styles. Even with the directional rooting at play, you can still manipulate the doll's hair and do other things with it. It's just a matter of how actively you're willing to do that, or if you're lazy like me and you want to put very minimal work into styling the doll's hair. And in some cases, you may have to use some trickery, okay? Some optical illusions with accessories, hats and scarves and things like that to kind of manipulate the look of the doll's hair so that it distracts from the fact that it's poofy or it's floating or whatever. It's not cooperative. And I also have some dolls where their hair was just like really big, but like annoyingly big. It was too big for me to style properly, so I ended up giving the doll box braids, little individual braids, so that it was more easier to tame. So when I come across those dolls in my collection, I'll be sure to pull them out and show you guys what I did, just so you guys have a visual reference. But there's so many different ways that you can kind of save the doll's hair if you end up not liking how it's turning out when you try to manipulate the doll's hair. But if you're trying to go for flat looks, good luck, bruh. On the other hand, I think with this one, actually, I did try to curl her hair, because I thought maybe if I curl it and it's all like big and giant curls and kind of like how Serafina's hair looks over here, I thought maybe that would save her look. But her hair is just such a, I don't know, this texture and length was really hard to work with. Trying to curl it, it was like just impossible for me, so I gave up. You know, you gotta play around with it. Again, it's just plastic. Don't fret if it don't turn out the way you want. If you hate the style, again, you can just boil wash it and it'll revert back to a straight texture and you can kind of start over again. When all else fails, I mean, at the end of the day, you can always tie the doll's hair back up into a nice bun or make it like a nice neat ponytail and camouflage the fact that it's not laying flat for you. But I mean, obviously, if you was trying to keep it in a ponytail, like, why would you want to take it down in the first place? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just trying to throw some ideas out there for you guys so that you don't feel like you just totally wasted your time trying to manipulate the doll's hair. And with this doll, my mini Gypsy, I did also have to do the same thing with her. I boil washed her hair because it was initially in an updo. I believe her hair is also directionally rooted. The strands are a little bit heavier and it's longer, so it's easier to style this hair, and because it has this little curled texture at the bottom, it's not as noticeable that her hair also floats. But I can work with this level of floating. I can totally deal with. This is the Juan Gabriel doll that just recently dropped with the Odile head sculpt. If you are wondering, you better get that doll too. If you can find her online for a decent price, I think I paid about $50 or $55 for her. But if it's somewhere in that range, I would say snatch her up before she be $300 on eBay next week. Okay, so what did you guys think about the dolls that I showcased in this video today? Did you learn something? And I think I definitely proved, at least to myself, that directional rooting is truly a thing. Mattel does use this technique in order to make the doll's hairstyle sit a certain way when they do the updos. Because you guys have to remember that a lot of these dolls, when the designers create prototypes for the dolls, initially they start off with sketches, and in the sketch they are showing how they want the doll's hair to be styled. So in order for the prototype to match that hairstyle that's in the sketch, they have to do what they gotta do to make it possible to even do that, right? So if you root the doll's head a little too thickly, and if it's not going in the right direction so that the hair doesn't lay a certain way, when you try to go and make that updo, it's gonna be very difficult. Those of us who've played with Barbie since we were children, I think you understand what I'm talking about. There's sometimes styles that you wanna do with your dolls, like say you wanna give them pigtails, braids, half up, half down. Some dolls, it was easier to do that with depending on the thickness of the doll's hair and the direction you were trying to pull the hair in before you tied it into a ponytail. But remember when they used to do this? They would take like the front part of the doll's head, tie it behind the doll's hair, and then have it just laying down so that it looked like this part of the hair was really flat. There's little tricks and manipulation you have to do sometimes when the doll's hair don't want to listen, because you can't necessarily use heat tools to style the doll's hair like a human being's, right? If you played with Barbies, then you understand what I'm talking about as far as how easy or difficult it is for the hair to be styled a certain way. It only makes sense logically that at the company they're gonna be like, if this doll needs like a bajillion braids all in a crazy pattern on the head, we can't just root her hair any old kind of way. We can't use the same thickness in the amount of hair that we put into the doll's head, because it's just gonna look crazy trying to make the hair look proportional on the doll's head to the style that we're trying to create. I hope that helps some of you guys to kind of reevaluate how you're struggling to style your doll's hair, and don't feel bad that you've done literally everything under the sun to try to flatten this doll's hair and it's just not listening to you. It's not you, it's her root job. That's just how they did it, and it's gonna always float a little bit. I had a lot of fun filming this for you guys. I don't know why I didn't think to do this sooner. This was fun for me, especially because in order to prep for this video, I did have to actually prep my dolls. All of these dolls came out of my stash of dolls that were not on display. So they were, you know, they had box hair. They were just looking crazy. And even though I previously styled their hair, I had to revive the style in order to show them to you guys properly. It gave me a chance to kind of spend individual time prepping and caring for my doll. I'm the kind of person who, I'm very impatient, so I don't like to style my dolls one at a time, like spend like a whole couple of hours just styling one doll. I just don't have the patience for that. So anytime I do some kind of customizing or restyling process, like even redressing my dolls, I need to have like 10 dolls at a time pulled out in order to do that. So I can just do all like conveyor belt style, just all in one pop. And that's what I did with these dolls. I did all of their hair sitting in one pop last night, and it was very like relaxing and chill and trying to come up with different textures I was trying to pull out of the doll's hair. It's been a while since I've been able to do that. It's truly doll therapy for me, especially after moving to a new state, readjusting to a new house, and having to deal with my miscarriage last month, and having just finished actual therapy. Like, I needed something to soothe my soul. So that's basically what I was doing, thanks to you guys asking questions about the dolls and me having a reason to go ahead and explore the topic. If you liked this video, like the video. And hi to all of the new subscribers. I see you guys in the comments. Thank you so much. If you're new, leave me a comment so that I know that you're new, because I know it looks like I have a lot of subscribers, but they're not as active as they were before, because I wasn't active on this channel for a long while. And we're kind of picking up where we left off. I tend to have the same people in my comments, and that's how I get to know you guys. So I love when the new people come over and I can distinguish between you guys, not just by your profile names or by your pictures. Like, for example, Maxine Andrew, she is a fellow Sims 4 player like me, and I wouldn't know that unless I was familiar with her from our conversations in the comments section, the time I spend over on her channel looking at her videos. I love feeling like you guys are like real people and not just random people online who I have no connection with other than we like to collect dolls together, you know? Interact with me and interact with each other in the comment section for sure. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Gypsy, you're not, and this is Broken Dolly TV, a safe place for adults who love to collect dolls of all sizes to come over and discuss our interest in dolls and give each other tips and tricks on how to customize and have more fun with our existing collection. Peace out, y'all. Have a dolly day.